This episode is brought to you in part by House of Yes. All right, guys, if you're in the daily snack battle like we are, you need these. These are House of Yes bars. They're loaded with 6 grams of protein, 6 grams of fiber, organic whole grains, and actual veggies like sweet potatoes and carrots. But I'm going to be honest, our kids think they're a treat, not a bar.
Yes, and with flavors like chocolate chip and maple cinnamon, they taste amazing. And honestly, those are my favorite flavors anyway. So it's a snack that is a both win for us and the kids.
Yeah. And the reality is, I would say don't sleep on these snacks for yourself, guys. I grab them as much as I do for the kids for a mid-afternoon pick-me-up. The texture gives cookie vibes, but it has great ingredients and great benefits.
Totally. So if you want to give these a try, head to houseofyesfoods.com and use code WSWWD15 for 15% off your first order and let us know what you think.
Hi.
Welcome to We'll
We've
Sleep
had
When We're Dead.
Welcome to We'll Sleep When We're Dead. We've had a real doozy getting these intros, it's been a lot of stop starts in the last few times.
We're on take like 700.
700. So welcome. We'll sleep when we're dead. And we
Sorry
couldn't
if
be
we're,
more
like-
excited about this guest today.
I am so excited about her. I think after we recorded, we were like, she was incredible. Let's be best friends. And then I also was like, I feel like we have so many things in common. Like,
So many things. And we didn't even like unpack half of them, which was so
No.
crazy to me. That was like very fun. Some of
And,
them
like,
were not fun things, but some of them were just like interesting that they were all overlaps.
so many common threads that I was like I was trying to be such a good listener, but I like was holding back interjections like every 5 seconds because I just kept wanting to be like, me too, me too, me too. Like,
Yeah.
Anyway,
Well,
so
tell the
Madeline
world who
Custer-
she is. Yeah.
Madeline Custer is on our pod today. We feel so lucky that she spent time with us. She is Madeline Moves on Instagram. She has an amazing Moves app. And we just talk we talk fitness because that's what she does, but we also just talk motherhood and how like she's evolved her training because she has 3 kids. And it's such a good conversation that I don't know. I like loved it. I really, really loved it.
She's so thoughtful. She's so articulate in the way that she uses words that I actually want to go back because there were so many nuggets that I was like, oh, I want to like take that and use that. And even philosophy on like how to spend time with your kids and what's important and what's not important. Like really just like an amazing approach.
Just so good.
So good. So I think you guys are going to love the conversation. And just as an aside, if you're as into fitness as Sam and I are, she is going to, or even if you're not, even if you're just fitness curious, as we like to say on here now, she has a spring challenge that she's going to talk about that Sam and I are going to participate in too. If you want to follow along with us and with Madeline, I think it would be really fun. So take a listen. We hope you enjoy. She's the best. Madeline, thank you so much for joining us.
Okay, we are so excited to have a new guest on today, Madeline Custer. Thank you for being here.
I'm so excited. I just told you this, but I'm so excited. I've been looking forward to this all week. Thank you.
We have been too.
Madeline, you are the mind mom, amazing boss behind Madeline Moves. You have an app. You're a mom of 3 kids. You just have so much knowledge out there for moms. But I also know that you used to be a teacher, correct?
Yes.
And you're a mom of 3. I'm a mom of 3. I used to be a teacher. You've had like some stay at home before building your career. Like fitness is so important. Fitness is important to me. Like we've had so many amazing guests on this, but for me, you are like so close to home. So I'm really excited about our conversation. So thank you. I cannot wait to like dive in to everything. But I do want to start like we asked most people really quickly. What was your journey of starting this fitness with then adding 3 kids? Like kind of bring us up to speed a little bit of like how you chose to have your kids, how maybe you chose to have 3, which is really exciting. And then but then we can like jump into fitness from that angle.
Sure. They're my favorite people to talk about. So just cut me off when it's time to move on. But yeah, I definitely always knew I wanted to have kids. I grew up in a family of 5 actually. It was 4 and then kind of like an oops baby a little bit. I'll
Oh
rat
my
my sister out.
gosh.
So there's a 10-year difference between she and I. But anyways, a big family, had an amazing childhood. I played sports growing up. We were really active. I knew I kind of wanted to do something alongside educating and teaching, but I knew I wanted to be active. So I went to school and studied physical education, kinesiology, all of that, and graduated. And I wasn't exactly sure what I wanted to do with it, but I ended up teaching kindergarten through eighth grade PE at a
Oh,
school and also coaching
fun.
soccer. And it was just like some of the most fun years of my life. My husband and I traveled a ton. We played in co-ed soccer leagues together. We just were super active. We trained for our first marathon together, and it was just good, good, good years. And then we struggled a little bit to have our first. I had a miscarriage and then a chemical pregnancy, and then had my first back in 2022. But it just was really a desire of my heart. And then even more so as it didn't come very easily. And not too many
Yeah.
of my friends had gone through that. They all got pregnant right away. So that did shape my story quite a bit. It was a hard time, but I feel like it's allowed me to relate to other women in a way that now feels very tender and special. That
Yeah.
said, we had our first Heidi. We didn't find out if she was going to be a boy or girl until she was born. It was very, very fun. I had a relatively easy pregnancy from my perspective, although she did require a lot of extra appointments. I was diagnosed with IUGR because she measured quite small.
Oh,
But she was actually totally fine. Like there was nothing. She was just meant to be small all along. And now I know that. But at the time, I was kind of like, is everything going okay? Of
yes.
course. The first time you go through it is so all encompassing. And
Oh, I had one of those too. And it
did you?
was like 2 times a week going
Yeah.
in for those appointments in the last 6 weeks. I was like, how am I here again? Like, what is going on? But we had the exact same thing. And
Yeah.
And
she's
Lucy,
like big now.
Lucy
So,
Yes.
like carries naturally, she carries smaller. So all these people would be like, "Oh, you look so small." And she would be like, "That's actually like really not what I want you to
yeah,
tell me." Because so yeah.
that's not it. The
No.
least helpful thing you could say.
It is
So,
so
yeah.
interesting how complex pregnancy is, and things that
Yes.
might sound somewhat nice to some people are like, that actually makes me very nervous to hear. But
Yes.
yes, I
Yes.
understand. But anyway, she was fine. She was great. It was really, really fun getting to just experience all that. I did have an unexpected C-section. My labor and delivery went a little bit, well, very much not how I would have planned it, which I think is very common as well. I did need to be induced because they thought she maybe was having some issues with like blood flow to the placenta. So I fought for like a 39-week induction versus 38, but all that to say, she didn't tolerate labor well. Her heart decels were very alarming. So we went in for a C-section, and it's kind of like so much happens at once. It's hard to process in that time. But afterwards, I did work through a lot of just, man, that is not how I expected it to go. I
Mhm.
worked so hard during pregnancy for these perceived benefits that did I reap those? And then I really realized that I did in my rehabilitation process. But I think just the process of coming to terms with your birth story not being what you hoped or expected or what friends experienced, that this is also an individual thing that has been nice to connect with other women through
Yeah.
too. It's
Sam
anyway.
would love to create a spin-off podcast called Birth Stories, where she only talks to people about birth stories. So that might be
Yeah.
coming in 2027. I
Sign
don't
me
know.
up for
Madeline,
one, or I'll just
we
listen to all of them.
well, I've been holding back 9 million comments because literally, like, like, I had an uterine growth. I wanted a birth center birth. I had to have an immediate, like, literally, like, I could have a whole podcast with you just about that. And it's also like something I'm super passionate about. So
Yeah.
I feel you. It's hard, and especially your first. Mine was my second, but your first, there's just this such an unknown, and you think you can control it, but you can't. So yeah.
I'm grateful by nature. I'm a relatively relaxed person, and I think my husband actually struggled more in those
Mm,
moments than I did because it was just all happening so quickly, and he like couldn't do anything but kind of take it in. And then even when they wheeled me back to the OR, he waited for a while. And well, he was asked to wait for a while. They didn't bring him in for a little bit. And he said those were like the longest 10 minutes
Oh
of
my
his
gosh, I
life. And
can't imagine.
but I will say there's a very sweet aspect to this. He and my daughter have a bond that is like, it's almost like they knew each other in a life before this one. They are just so connected. And he like held her and had her for the first like 10 to 15 minutes of her life while I was, getting stitched back up and everything.
Stitched up. Yeah.
It's just like every step of their journey has been connected and sweet. And
Oh,
they just like
that's
attribute a
so
lot of
cool.
their bond to how much he helped in those early days because it was so
Yeah.
like needed and required. Anyways, yeah, that could probably be a spin-off podcast in itself. Anyways, Heidi was our first. We had her for right around a year, a little over a year, we got pregnant with our second, and they're 2 years apart. So I have Henry and Heidi, and we didn't find out for either of them if they were going to be boys and girls. And it was just like the most fun thing to have both. And then I guess we were feeling a little too good because around 4 months postpartum with Henry, I got pregnant with my third Scott. Total surprise. Like
No
just no way
way.
in the world, except there was a way in the world.
Oh my
And
gosh.
yeah.
Surprise.
And I really struggled
Wow.
with that, to be honest. I was exclusively breastfeeding. I had kind of a hard postpartum with Henry. I had an internal bleed, a hematoma, and I had to go back into the hospital and get a small surgery to fix that. And I just like struggled physically more with him than I did with Heidi. And then I felt like I was, just at that 4 month mark, like really feeling like myself again,
Yeah.
exclusively breastfeeding. So that kind of adds an element of like, I don't get my cycle back when I am. And when we found out, I didn't think I was. It was all my husband. He noticed I was craving Chick-fil-A a little more than normal. And I think I fell asleep with Henry napping, and I don't normally sleep through like during the day. And all he asked for Father's Day was, "Will you please just like take a pregnancy test so I know?" And
Oh
I was like,
my gosh.
"I'm not buying a pregnancy test. If you want to go get one, you can do this." And he bought one, and he asked me to take it, and I took it. I left the room because there was no way.
No way.
I took Henry to the front porch. He opens the front door, and he just like puts it into my face, and I
Oh my God.
Oh my gosh.
yeah, we cried. We cried way more than anything else, for the
Yeah.
first few days. And honestly, I kind of just blocked it out of my mind a lot. I would say it
Yeah.
did not really hit me until much closer to the like second and third trimester. I felt guilty that Henry was gonna have to grow up so fast in my mind. And I just like I didn't want to be pregnant again.
Yeah.
I didn't want that for a family, but I will say, and I'm a firm believer that God does not make mistakes. And when I look at my son Scott, every time I'm just like, wow, you were meant to be. You were meant to be here. So it has turned out so fun. It is total mayhem at my house
Oh,
all
I
the
bet.
time, but it's very fun.
Oh my gosh. Now, Madeline, did you end up having three C-sections then?
Yeah, I did. I should have
Okay.
said this. I tried for a VBAC with Henry,
Yeah.
my second, and I I labored for over 24 hours, and they don't give you much like anything to augment labor, because
Nope.
of like the uterine scar stuff. Like they
I
won't.
did the exact same thing
Okay, okay, so
for
.
24 hours with my second trying. I was like, and I didn't go into it prepared. I didn't go into it like thinking this was something I was going to try. The doctor was like, why don't you try? There's no reason you shouldn't. So
Okay.
I distinctly remember calling Sam and being like, I have literally no idea what I'm doing because I got a C-section the first time
Right.
and that was planned because he was
Okay.
breech. And Sam's like, okay, here's what we're going to do. This is so exciting. And 24 hours in, I'm like, and I want to be done with this. And I ended up having a C-section again anyways. So
We really have a lot of
a
commonality for
lot. I
sure.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's so
I had a
fun.
scheduled C-section, but I went in having contractions. So I said, like, let's ride this out. And I wrote it out as long as I possibly could. And she checked me when I got there, and she checked me 24 hours later, and I had not progressed at
Yep.
all.
Oh my.
And I
Same.
couldn't eat during this time because they were
Oh.
planning for a C-section, and I don't know.
Yeah,
And
you
then
have to be prepared in case they have to do one. So you're like, I'm hangry and I
that
want to
was
get this
literally
kid out
it.
of
He
me.
was like, "Do you want to have this baby and go get some dinner?" And I was like, "Honestly, I think I
Yeah,
really do want
I think
that.
I'd like to do that. Oh
Just
my
do it."
gosh. Okay, so I'm so curious with you've had all these experiences, and I feel like the thing I love so much about your content and following you is, first of all, I'm like, why did I not know you before when I was like trying to recover from C-sections? Because your advice, your exercises, your examples are so practical. And I'm like, I didn't have anyone helping communicate that understanding. I was like, I know I shouldn't do crunches for 6 weeks. That was like pretty much the extent of the knowledge I had after a C-section. And your advice is so practical. So I'm so curious. You had, you were a gym teacher, you had trained for this, you understood all of it. Was the progression into like this focus on pre-postnatal because of what you had experienced, or how did that evolve?
Totally. I think by nature, you're so vulnerable after birth, no matter what your story looks like. But then the resources for C-section moms are truly like next to non-existent. And I just
Totally.
like all of a sudden it was my story. And I was like, well, this has to be better, not only for me, but for the
Yes.
next person. And so I talked to my doctor in the hospital. I was like, give me the lowdown. Like, what can I do? What should I not
Right.
do? How can I heal more? Doctor who I love said, you don't worry, you will hurt yourself before you injure yourself. And I was just like, what do I do with
Wow.
that? Like, is that
Get that needle pointed on a pillow. That's what I'm thinking.
what? So I left the hospital. I got in contact with pelvic floor PTs. I tried to think of anybody that I had had a C-section, and I just said, like, this has got to be better. Not only personally for me, like I'm going to make this a
Yes.
mission, but if I get the chance to, share this with anybody and everybody, we've got to do
Yeah.
better. So even things like getting in and out of bed in more favorable positions. Like I learned this log roll thing. A PT taught me that. And I was like, okay, nobody is ever going to get out of bed, like you saying, a crunch if they can
Yeah.
do this. And even little things like walking around earlier in the hospital, getting some of the swelling and
Yeah.
all of the fluid retention to start to subside actually has huge benefits in healing. And what we feel in those like C-section scar overhang is a lot of times just trapped fluid. So if we can get some of that moving earlier, they're like these small things that feel like
Yeah.
they couldn't move the needle, but they really did, especially between my first and my second. And by the third, I was like, I've got a plan. Like I can do
Yeah.
this. It's hard. It's never not hard, but having resources and some knowledge and a few takeaways, like it really does make all the difference.
Yeah.
I'm convinced.
Oh,
I
so cool.
appreciate it too. I did not have C-sections, but I have that similar feeling of just like your body changes after 3 kids. Like fitness was my number one. Like it is my number one pre-kids, but like it's something that brings me joy. I love it. But my body's different after 3 kids and you kind of just get stuck. I mean, now it's a little bit better, obviously, but yeah, like 7 years ago when I had my first, you just kind of like, I've been to pelvic floor therapy, but like the lower gut, even if I didn't have a C-section, people are just kind of like, oh, be appreciative you had kids. Or like, I don't know, there's not this like, so your resources, even for somebody like me, like I want to kind of get into it because I'm like a cardio hit junkie, Madeline. So your content is so intriguing for me. But I feel like I now, because of the resources and people like you that show that it works, I do sit down for 4 minutes after a workout and just do lower core, where like I would never have done that 5 years ago. I would have either done crunches or just not done anything because I just had to be okay with my new body. And so I don't know. I just think it's really enlightening. And I love that it's out there because a lot of C-sections are emergency.
Yes.
So a lot of times you don't know, but the fact that then you can go to your content very quickly and learn, I just think is
It's like
wonderful.
you don't care until you care, and that's okay.
Yeah.
You don't need to care about everything. We don't have the energy to care about everything. But when it becomes part of your story and you do care, to have accessible resources versus getting frustrated and just kind of like, well, I guess this is just how it is, because you
Yeah.
don't have a lot of time when you also have a newborn. You also feel so restricted in what your body is actually able to do because you're healing. And so kind of the combination of all of those things, I just wish I could just reach through the phone and like give these people a hug and make it simple and tangible versus overwhelming. But that's our
Yeah.
hope. That's my mission in some
Yeah.
way.
I love that.
Yeah.
How would you say like fitness has evolved for you now that you're a mom of three? Like, does it look very different in terms of time that you're spending or the types of exercises that you're devoting to it? I'm so curious.
It really does. It does and it doesn't. I think having grown up with like a sports and fitness background, there are things that are just red threads. And I think
Yeah.
the biggest one is just how it makes me feel. It makes me feel centered. It makes me feel just a little less susceptible to things. Things can just kind of roll off a little bit better when that is part of my day. So that's a red thread. Then like Drew and I used to train for marathons and go for like hour-and-a-half runs. And somebody asked me the other day, like, could you see yourself training for a marathon? I was like, honestly, the time to reward benefit is not there for me right now. And I love that different fitness modalities like light people up. But like right now, I just don't want to give that amount of time to that.
Mhm.
And I don't think it's necessary for my goals. So yes, it's evolved a lot. Mostly the time and then just I know for me what moves the needle the most in the ways that I care about most, and it is strength training. I find that my body composition, my muscle mass to fat ratio is the happiest when the largest amount of what I am doing is lifting heavy weights. And then
Yeah.
other things just become sort of accessory and make me love it or are specific to goals that I have or needs that I have. Like, you know, in
Mhm.
that first year postpartum, like I really do dial in on the core and unilateral work and symmetry because scar tissue lays down like crazy wonky and it can really challenge your balance and one side can
Yes.
be a lot stronger than the other and that can feel like it's not a big deal until you try to do something like running or playing soccer and you have quite a bit of, you know, just leftover soreness, residual soreness on one side. So I really I take that pretty seriously. And then I've tried to slowly get back into cardio, just like through, I'll do a mile like 3 times a week and just try to like chip away at my mile time, which is just a little competitive side of
Yeah.
me. I like to scratch the itch every once
Yeah.
in a while because I just don't do that as much in my day to
Yeah.
day. But strength is by far the foundation and then kind of rehab, prehabilitation work. I think is super important as we're in these years where our bodies are changing a lot. And
Mhm.
that's a lot of years when you think about, you know, getting pregnant, having babies, and then, you know, many of us are like entering into perimenopause and menopause. Like there's just a lot that will change for us. And it's very
Oh
don't
my gosh.
have any
I will tell you, at least every other podcast episode, I'm like, I
I
think this
know.
is when I'm entering into it. I was up sweating last night. Like, it has to be it. I'm entering into it.
Yeah.
It's hard to
Yeah.
know. It's probably an overreaction, but we're getting close. So,
Totally.
we are so excited that this episode is sponsored in part by our friends at Anomaly Health.
One thing I'm always looking for is how to make our routines feel a little more seamless, especially when it comes to wellness.
We've been using Anomaly. It's a daily gut and immune support blend with colostrum, pre and probiotics, and a multivitamin all in one small scoop.
Yeah, and I love that I can mix it into smoothies, yogurt, or just water. And since it works for the whole family, ages 2 and up, having one thing that works for everyone just simplifies everything.
Head to tryanomalyhealth.com and use code WSWWD20 at checkout for 20% off your first order.
I heard a lot in that response of time, and I think everybody who listens can relate to time. For example, my day today, there was a lot going on, and the only time I had was at 5 a.m. And so just like you, fitness brings me joy. It's less and less. I mean, you've built a business about it, which I think is so intriguing. For me, it's that red line of like, I just know I will be a little bit happier. And for example, I worked out, I had coffee before my kids, and it was sunny out. I was like, I can do anything today. Like literally, it's 7:30 a.m. and like anything can happen for me
Create
today.
this buffer where you're like, "No, you know, that doesn't
Yeah.
touch me. That doesn't really
Yeah.
bother me."
Right. So
Exactly.
I have a two-part question for you because I do want to hear from you like really realistically for you as Madeline, like how much time are you maybe spending for a workout? Not you're building your business and recording. And then the second part is a more loaded question of we also like to talk about like energy. And I love some of your content because I feel similar. Like I don't have it all together. Like I will work out even though I know I have 2 loads of laundry that need to be done or I have dishes that need to be done. Like other people prioritize other things, but I just don't want it to look like I'm doing it all and working out. A lot of times other things have to give. And so I'm just interested what that looks like for you as well. Like as a mom of 3, where do you notice your energy maybe being less because you are prioritizing fitness, health, being a mom?
I mean, how long do we have here?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, each kid has chipped away at my workout time, and it's
Mhm.
okay. I recognize this is a time in my life. After Scott, I used to always, on our app, we have longer versions of workouts, we have shorter versions of workouts. I mean, literally, however long I've been doing this, I've done the longer version until Scott. And he came along, and I just felt like the combination of the sleep stage that we were in, breastfeeding, I was like, something's got to give. Like, this is not serving me, it's depleting me. So I switched to the 30-minute, the shorter versions of our workouts, probably like 4 months postpartum with Scott. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do these shorter workouts. But in these shorter workouts, I'm really going to take my weight selections like to that kind of gritty place. And I'm
Yeah.
going to see what that trade-off does. So less overall volume, less sets, less reps, but like I'm going to push myself in the weights. And I will be honest, like I have been so pleased with the recovery benefits that I've had in these shorter workouts, the ability that I've had to like really master some strength work, like pull-ups. I've gotten up to 10 pull-ups this postpartum. I have not done that since pre-Heidi. But it's
Yeah.
just like, I'm going to push my weights. This is not going to last very long. I can't
Mhm.
find 30 minutes of my day. Like, I really
Mhm.
can't do that. So the barrier of
Mhm.
entry has gotten lower. But I would say, like, the output, the benefit, the results have been the same, but better. So that's been a
Yeah.
huge encouragement to me and something that I feel like I could pass along and something that I couldn't have said with enough confidence prior because I was doing the
Yeah.
longer workouts and now I'm just not. So if that means anything to anybody, I think it's that time does not have to be the predictor of benefit. Sometimes it's like the
Mhm.
strategy behind it and then the intention that you put in while you're there. Like I can do this for I mean yesterday my little guy was with me the whole time and I just like I picked up my weights, he played with his tractor and I'll post it. I'll just say like guys, this
Real
is
life.
what this is normal. Like you can row
Yeah.
with heavy weights and move them around and it will
Mhm.
get done. I think where we find ourselves the most limiting is in our own brains when we think like it can only happen during that uninterrupted time.
Mhm.
Because
Mhm.
those that will that will not happen very frequently the more kids you have. So I think just recognizing that we'll get back to those, gym
Yeah.
sessions and I'll go back to a gym someday. But right now, like my basement, it is kind of a safe haven and enough
Mhm.
good quality work can happen that it's like
Mhm.
it brings me back.
Yeah.
Now, I don't think a pull-up is gonna happen for me. I'll be honest. I don't know that
Don't count
that's
yourself out. Do not count.
I am telling you, these little bird arms, I've never been able to make it happen, but
You can do
now I
it.
feel inspired. I want to try for it.
I think it's all about latching on to what matters to you. Like I wanted to
Yeah.
do pull-ups. They're kind of like this elusive, like I just have
Yes.
not gotten those in a long time. But for some women, it's push-ups, it's a strong glute, like a strong hip thrust, it's running a mile. It does not have to
Yeah.
be the same for everybody. But I think having some of those where it's like, no, right now this is out of reach. But like if I plug away at it with strategy and consistency, like I'm
Yeah.
or for the
That's
first time. I
amazing.
think it's so cool when people get strong for the first time later in life. They're not like
Yeah.
coming from an athletic background. They're doing it for their first time in their 30s and 40s. I think that's so badass.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
amazing.
for sure.
Okay, so where to the second part of Sam's question, where does the mediocre energy, let's
Yeah.
call it, go if
So
you're prioritizing the health and
let's get
strength?
into it. I mean, okay, I don't shop very much. Like people ask me for the links of my clothes, and I'm like, I have had this for so long. Like, you are not finding this. I do not shop. Like, that's just not an area of my brain that it's wants to tap. I don't plan a ton of things for my kids that are like for their pure entertainment. Like,
Hmm.
we go to parks, we hang out with friends, we do library story time, but I'm not planning they're also 4 and under. So I feel like I
Yeah.
get these simple years while I get
Yes.
these simple
Yeah.
years, but we're not doing
Yeah.
like museums and entertainment parks and stuff. Like our day to
Yeah.
day is not super overly scheduled. So I
Mhm.
don't put a ton of energy into that. Our outings are low stakes. Like if we go to this park and we need to leave this park, that is no big deal.
Uh-huh.
Um, my laundry is never, I mean, it's never even close to on top of it.
So hard.
Yeah, no.
Uh,
And I mean, my house is truly never clean. There are times when it's picked up and then I will clean like one room. Like one room will get a deep clean. And then we have help. We have a cleaner who comes once a month and like they come and it looks great. And then the next day we're
Mhm.
just, scrambling until the time they come. So there are a lot of aspects of my life that are, I mean, honestly, I'm just very normal. Like if I'm just very normal.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And
I
I
love
think it
that.
really, a dear friend of mine, like one of my best friends, is struggling with cancer right now. And she told me
Oh.
something yesterday that like just brought it all for full circle. And she said, normal is sacred. And so like the chance to just like live simple days and have like messes be my frustration or like what a gift. And I know I'm not
What an amazing perspective.
positive. Yeah, it's just I know it gets gritty. I know the friction is there day to day, but like a simple, healthy life, like what a gift. What a gift.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
love that. I'm
Yeah.
going to be thinking
Mhm.
The
about that
normal
all
is
weekend.
sacred. That's from her, and I can't stop thinking about it.
It's
Yeah, it's
amazing.
so hard though, because the world, especially a mom world that we live in, working mom, like, I don't know if that's the message that we're getting, you
No.
know? So,
Oh
like,
no.
it's refreshing to hear that because, like, I mean, normal, we're trying to be honest. Like, it's hard. It's not
Mhm.
always rainbows and butterflies, but like, you prioritize yourself, but you're okay with mess. Like, you could be working out and literally seeing your pile of laundry, but you're okay with it. Where, like, I think we need to be more okay with that. It doesn't have to be so
I think
put
it's
together.
a little bit of a personality thing, and you have to know kind of your own brain. And like
Yeah.
some people, those messes, like they can't look past them until a few things are done. And that's fine. Everybody has
Yeah.
their thresholds. And I think it's really important to honor those, but I also just like people to think long term. Like this stuff, it's very transient. It will come and go. Your body, what houses your
Mm.
brain, the bones that are taking you from point A to B, that stuff it's important. It is so much
Mhm.
deeper than aesthetics for me. It's really the chance for people to age on their own terms, and I think that's worth, looking a little disheveled or having your home look a little disheveled or certain
Yeah.
things like that
Yeah.
personally.
I'm
Yeah.
curious if you had, you just mentioned someone who's 30s, 40s, like just getting into their fitness journey and how amazing that is. And I totally agree. It's very hard. We have an episode coming up about mahjong. I don't typically go do new things that I've never done before because
Oh.
that's really hard. I looked like a complete idiot trying to play this game amidst people that have already played. Anyways, that's neither here nor there, but I'm just thinking through like all these people that are listening, they're inspired, they're seeing your content, but they're overwhelmed. Like I think it's like very easy to feel overwhelmed at starting something new, especially when you're older. I personally don't like it. I'm curious, like, what would be like a great first step for someone to take so that they're like, starting to embrace their fitness journey and not feeling like they can't take the first step?
Yeah. No, that's great. I got my mom into strength training. She's in her early 60s and has lived, an
Oh.
active life, but never picked up weights formally. And I think that's the story of a lot of women.
Yeah.
They maybe have a little bit more of a cardio background, especially like the 80s, 90s. I think that was really maybe oversold a little bit if I'm being totally transparent. Um,
Yeah.
but the benefit of lifting some weights and having muscle mass and what it does for your bone density, like I will say it is worth feeling a little bit new to something. That said, I think either going with somebody or finding somebody who is a little bit more experienced can be such just a better
Mhm.
environment to learn anything. I mean, you're talking about learning something around friends. So she's been doing it with me. So just if there is somebody in your world that could you could join for a little bit. I think there's
Yeah.
a huge breakdown of barriers that can happen just when people are together. I think it's a beautiful thing. A lot of fitness classes, I would say, are an amazing entry point. I think some of them fall short when I'm thinking about that being the only thing that you're doing. But of course, like anything is better than nothing. So don't hear what I'm not saying. But I also think our app does an amazing job of simplifying the process and making sure the ingredients that are really needed are present within every workout. They're written along pelvic floor PTs, physical therapists to make sure that there are warm ups, there are alternates to every exercise. Something that I find a lot of times is there's just not enough individualization if you're not working with like a personal trainer in a lot of platforms. Within ours, like every exercise has multiple other exercises that target the exact same muscles in just maybe more accessible ways for you. And it's right there. So you're not having to search for something or guess about something. And then we just do prioritize well selected exercises. So things that aren't like super complex, like maybe a burpee to a row to a press, like you're not going to see that on your day one because it doesn't get the stimulus to one muscle. It kind of accumulates fatigue, but doesn't actually drive the result that we're after of building muscle. So we kind of sift through some of the things to make sure that you're well cared for, but the outcomes are actually going to happen if you just keep showing up. Um, and then also, I would just say, like, balance it with things that you love. I think there's this huge benefit to having enough strategy that the results come with enough enjoyability that this feels like something you want to keep doing. So if it's strength training 2 to 3 times a week and pickleball or walks or hikes, do that. Do that. I
Yeah.
call it kind of like the meat and potatoes. Like I would love for women to be strength training, but then like it's a buffet. Like do what you want to do. And don't feel any guilt or morality around the kind of movement that you love, but kind of like anchor it with a little bit of strength training if you can. I love that. That's what I
It's
think.
amazing.
Yeah.
I need to do that. Like I told you, I'm such a cardio junkie. I think my mom ruined me when she took me to like aerobics when we were in high school and we were like doing hour-long cardio aerobics and it just like is in the DNA. But
Like I
I
would
did see,
never say stop. I would just say like balance it and you will
yeah,
yeah.
I saw that you have like a build versus burn or you have like weight training. So it's like I love weight training. I did CrossFit for 7 years, but the thing that tricks you with CrossFit, it's very hit too. There's always
Yeah.
like a very high intensity WOD, so you get the like drug of that high intensity. So it's like it's kind of a misleading CrossFit. Like yes, you're picking up weights, but I love the balance. You also talked a little bit about like meals and all of that and what you were just describing. So just one, because you know a lot, but two, because you're a mom. We love to talk about mom hacks. Give me like one or two of your, I don't want to cook. I only have 25 minutes, but like we know we need 1,000,000 grams of protein.
1 million. Yeah, totally. Yeah.
And now a
Literally.
lot of fiber. So now we know we need both.
Yep.
Because I would say like that's my biggest struggle is like when people ask me about working out, it's really hard for me to relate because it's so in my DNA.
Yes.
Like I don't know how to turn my alarm off. I just get up at 5 a.m. So it really is. But in terms of cooking, I hate it. I would eat cereal 5 times a day. Like the thought of protein,
Oh,
but
I
I
have
know I
a hack
need
for
it.
you. I have a little hack for the cereal
Okay.
lovers
Oh,
because
I'm
I
ready.
I love a good bowl of cereal too. I started doing this when I was pregnant with Heidi because I was just like addicted to cereal. I mean, like
So good.
Golden Grams,
Yes.
every cereal. It was like the
And
the cereal aisles were just like heaven. I
Yes.
could not.
They're
So
glowing
what I
as you
started
walk
doing
in.
is whatever milk I had, I would just scoop some vanilla protein into it, do it in a shaker bottle, and then pour it over my protein or over my cereal. And it was like at least a balance. And it kept me from eating like 2 bowls because I was a little more full because of the protein.
Smart.
But it like scratched the itch 100%, but it also just kind of worked
Oh my
for a
gosh, I
little
I
bit.
love
love
that.
that
Yeah.
hack.
What a
Okay,
great
because
hack.
I do mix it in my yogurt, but then
There
still
you go.
sometimes I'm like, yeah, okay.
Or
But what
a
about like
Fairlife chocolate shake, the Fairlife. I'll just pour that over a bowl of cereal and it's like, it's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sam puts
wow,
cottage cheese on waffles, which is
I
just
do.
it's A
I
little
can't
tough for
have
me.
cheese and eggs. I don't normally mix like,
See, that feels normal.
yeah.
That is acceptable. Sam's cottage cheese usage is
Hey, it's had
tough
a
for me, but
moment.
she gets that protein. She gets that protein.
Get
So
the
what is like the,
Yeah.
you don't want to cook meal you
Oh
got?
my
Yeah.
goodness. I kind of was super honest on my Instagram at the beginning of this year because I was in sort of a resenting dinner phase. Like I would borderline hate dinner. It was kind
Yes.
of the time of day where it felt like I couldn't do it fast enough. Everybody needed their third snack. And it was just like I was just warding people off trying to cook and not enjoying it at all. So I sort of like made myself recalibrate a little bit. I made a chart for my kids of things that we were trying to do as a family. And one of them was play outside before dinner time. So get some energy out before dinner time. One of them was that they would help in ways they would ask me to help. That became a little bit of like, um, if they tried a new food, they could check something off, and then they needed to bring their plate to the sink and say thank you without being asked. And on my end, I was supposed to plan 3 meals a week, like that was my minimum. And I used this resource that is on Moves app. It's called Meals Made Simple. And there's probably other ways you could do it, but this is just really well laid out from a registered dietitian, and it makes you it gives you a shopping list, and it makes you like prep a bulk protein source that then gets
Oh,
used in recipes more than just once. So I would like shred chicken, grilled chicken, and then there were 3 different recipes that used this, but in different ways. Like it didn't really feel like I
yeah.
was eating chicken, anyways, all the time. So that really helped me in the beginning of the year. So I just didn't want, like, I love my family, and my mom was so, she showed so much love through food that I didn't love how I was feeling about feeding my kids. So
Yeah.
that helped, but you still have to have those like easy button meals. Absolutely. So a few of mine, I don't know if you guys have seen Goodles, like next to
Yeah.
the macaroni and cheese. Okay. It's just a little bit higher protein boxed mac and cheese. You can find it
Yeah.
at Costco. I find it pretty much anywhere. And one thing that I'll do to that is I did this last night. I will in a blender mix cottage cheese, avocado, and some spinach. And it just makes this green, cheesy, milky like sauce. And then I'll just pour that into the boiling whatever, the
Yeah.
noodles. And it just creates like this higher protein, a little bit of fiber. My kids think
Some
it's a
good
high
fats from the
color.
avocado.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And then I'll make my husband grill some steak. And we had that in mango last night. So it's like
Oh,
pretty easy.
Easy. Yeah.
yeah.
That's
Another
great.
one during the winter that we were doing a lot is a lasagna soup recipe. I can send you guys that. I think if you guys want to like put it in the show
Yeah, we'll
notes or something,
post
but
it.
it's a
Yeah.
big hit, and it's so much easier than lasagna. You just break everything up, you put it into a pot, your house smells amazing. Put
Oh,
some cheese on it. My kids always devour it. That's a really good, easy one. It's like 40 grams of protein a serving. It's
my
wild.
gosh. And you're
Oh,
not going through the process of layering
Oh,
everything
no,
and
no, no, no,
we
no.
did not have
yeah.
and nobody
No,
got time
catch
for
those
that.
noodles, throw them in.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God.
Well,
Okay,
we're
those are
nearing
great.
the end, which is so crazy to me. This has been so fun. But one thing I do not want to forget to talk about is you have such a fun spring challenge coming up, and I want to hear about it and we want to get people involved. So if do you want to
Okay,
share a
well,
little bit about
no,
that?
the timing of this is kind of ideal. So obviously everything that I mentioned, like big fans of sustainability, like that's number one, absolutely. But every once in a while, it's kind of fun to like enjoy what you're doing and feel just a little bit more focused. And so 2 times a year, we try to make it strategic with people's calendars. Like pre-summer tends to be very popular. People want to, feel great in their skin. They might have some summer travels that this becomes a little less realistic. And then we do one in the fall, like before all the holidays, but it's called the Move Together Challenge. It's 5 weeks of workouts and nutrition. And I think when I say that, it maybe doesn't come across as deep as it is. Like the nutrition is custom macros and a build the plate approach from like registered dietitians and experts in the field. And then the workouts are like home and gym, 30 or 60-minute versions, very easy to follow along. Progressive overload, resistance training, but we just try to make them like a little extra fun and special during the challenge as something that we're all working through together. But I would say the secret sauce is just kind of aligning both, kind of what you said. Like most people feel like they're in a good place with one or the other, but when you kind of lock in both, it's pretty amazing what can happen. And people just get really excited about their progress because they see it, they feel it so
Yeah.
obviously, and then it becomes a little bit easier to continue when you've had just kind of that phase of like, bam, like look at that.
Yeah.
Get fun. We do like giveaways every single week. We reward consistency, and there's like this Facebook page, and it's just a very, very inspiring and empowering community of mostly women. I mean, I made my husband do it with me too. A lot of
Yeah.
husbands dragged into, and he's always so glad he did. But the workouts are not like so female focused. I mean, strength is strength. Like really and
Yeah.
truly, the male and female body build strength in similar ways. So we try to keep things like no fuss, no fluff, but very intentional. This one, actually, we had a physical therapist who joined us for some postural corrective
Oh,
mobility.
Oh,
Woven
I
amazing.
into
need to
the
do
workout.
that.
I needed it so bad. I was like, we are adding this to this program
Oh, I
because I won't
love
do it
that.
unless it's part of my workout. And I've
Yeah.
done it for about 6 weeks. And I mean, my shoulders have kind of come back. Like my breathing
Oh,
feels better. I actually feel less stressed because I am breathing more
Breathing.
360 versus my shallow kind of chest breathing. I'm not
yeah.
a woo-woo person, but I'm like, this is very, very nice. It just feels like a
Oh,
big compliment to some of the core work and stuff. So I'm very excited
so
about
great.
it.
Oh,
I
it
think
sounds
everybody should.
amazing. Oh my
And I
goodness.
also
Well, go ahead,
oh,
Sam.
sorry. I just also love that it's 5 weeks because I feel like
Hmm.
that's so attainable. Like a
Yeah.
lot of times it's a 12-week or it's a 3 month. Like 5 weeks is so
5
perfect. So
weeks
I
is
Yeah.
like,
so perfect. People like do finish these challenges. They don't just
yeah.
start and kind of peter out. And even the last week is called a deload week where we really intentionally like scale back a little bit because we intend for
Hmm.
people to like keep going.
Go. Yeah.
But it's
Yeah.
just this natural reduction in some volume, some intensity. It kind of just feels like a hug and then you get back to it, but you're not like burnt out. I'm not a burnout. I'm like over
Yeah.
those years. I kind of went
Yeah.
hard early, supported and aligned and strategic, but like I don't want to feel frazzled. I feel that
Yeah.
enough in other parts of my life. I do not need that as like part of my health approach. I don't want that.
No.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
Well, we'll link everything in the show notes so that people can find the challenge, sign
Yeah.
up. I want to do it. It sounds like such a
Yay!
blast. Yeah,
I
I
would
think Sam
love
and I will
to.
do it.
You
That would
should
be
do it.
so
It will
fun.
open your I hear this all the time. People who are kind of like skeptical of what would happen if they scale back their cardio. This is kind of like the key to them. They do one of these challenges and then they just realize like, wow, that's sort of what I was missing, or that's the
Yeah.
counterpart, or I just didn't need quite as much cardio as I thought I did. Um, it's sort of like an aha moment for a lot of people. No pressure, but I think you would love it.
Yeah.
It'll
No,
be
I'm
such a
so down.
blast.
So down.
Well, thank you so much. This
Yeah.
was so
Thank
fun to get
you.
to chat with you. You're amazing,
Yeah.
crushing it. Way to go, mama,
You
building
guys too.
something, raising
I'm such a
kids.
proponent of moms. Like I really just do think that moms need to assume that they are doing the best and that every other mom is too. And I think that just makes
Yeah.
it so much more fun to go through motherhood than I don't know.
Yeah.
Like the pressure's
We're,
off. We're all getting
yeah.
through it a day at a time.
I
And
love it.
honestly, like nobody can be more efficient than a mom. So 30 minutes should work because you can get, I was joking with Lucy how like efficient we are. I folded my towels just while my shower got hot. Like that's how much you can like, like moms are incredible. So 30 minutes really can do it, which is so great to hear from you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Do
thank you.
not underestimate 30 minutes when you give
Yeah.
it to a mom. It's crazy.
No,
Agreed.
Yeah.
no. All right.
Thank
Well, thank you
you.
so
Thank
much.
you.
So fun.
This was so great.